Meditation is where it's at. Today, I'm going to tell you the 8 scientific benefits that's been backed up by science about the experiences and the benefits I received from meditation over the course of 1 to 2 years of meditating daily. All right, let's get started. First tip I want to talk about is that it reduces stress. I know that you have heard about this a lot where people say that, yeah, I've been a lot stressful, you just meditate. But what I've experienced is that I'm a lot more calm. Whenever there's some sort of stressful situation, I'm still human, I still feel that urge, that like anger that's like, oh my God, what's happening kind of feeling. But at the same time, I'm able to control it, I'm able to notice it, and then just like dissipate it, just like meditation. That's why I think that if you wanted to help, reduce your stress just a little bit, just being more mindful of how your body reacts when stressed out really helps a lot. Second tip I want to talk about is it enhances your self-awareness. Now, what do I mean exactly by this? Well, it's like a superpower, you just start being aware of the minute details in life. Like, let's say, for example, you're just walking by. Usually when I was like before, I was just like, on my phone, scrolling through, checking Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, this sort of jazz. And I'm just going through, just ignoring everything in life, and then until I get to the destination. Now, I still use my phone occasionally, but I don't really use it that often. But I'm starting to notice like the little details, the little lines in the leaves, or just like the little paint splashes all over the fence, or just these little details. And now it makes me like, what's the point of knowing all these details, Anthony? It just doesn't add much value to my life. Well, that's where you're kind of wrong, because you gotta start to appreciate the little beauties in life. That's just what I learned from meditation. Just start appreciating the little things, because when you appreciate the little things, you can start to appreciate the bigger things in life. And just noticing these little things just adds a little piece to your life, and it just makes you have this much more positive mindset in the world where you're like, wow, this world is pretty damn beautiful. And that kind of mindset, all right? Third tip, which I found really practical, and you will too, is I was able to focus longer. Now, when you sit down on the ground or on the chair or whatever, and you just have to sit down in silence, just trying not to have any thoughts, it is one of the hardest things that I ever tried to do. And it's still hard to even today. But what I noticed is that just by focusing and just like not thinking, or like whenever you notice thought, just like dissipate it, just the act of focusing on that, just to make sure you're not distracted, really helps a lot when you're working, you're hustling, you're getting that grind in, and you're like, all right, let's get it. And then, if your phone rings, you're going to be distracted because, the noise. But just meditation makes it a lot easier to just not pick up your phone for 15 minutes. It makes it a lot easier to just like, okay, let me just put this aside for a bit. Let me work on a bit, and then I'll check my phone. That kind of stuff, all right? If you want to focus better, if you want to get more deep work in, I highly recommend, 100 out of 10 recommend to do meditation. Fourth tip I want to talk about, that this is also very important, is it helps me generate kindness. It makes me more compassionate, it helps me empathize with people. This is the stuff where if you want to take the relationships you meet with the people you are close to already and people you just meet for the first time to the next level, this is where it's at. What I notice is that when you're much more aware of what you're doing, what you're feeling, and just being able to pay more attention to the other person, you're able to understand a little bit more about what they're thinking, about what they're trying to convey. And when you're able to do that, it's a lot easier to, one, continue the conversation, and two, just be a lot friendly, because now instead of just like being zoned out, you're appreciating the moment that someone's taking the time to have a good conversation with you. And just by projecting that feeling onto the other person, they can feel it too, and then it just makes you feel a lot better in life. Fifth thing is it helps you fight addiction. Now, this is this thing where if you have been addicted to like video games like me or something, it really helps, because as I said before, when you're focusing on meditation of trying not to think, you're fighting this urge to just like go and fall into distraction. And guess what addiction is? It's that distraction times like 100. So when you meditate over time, it tones it down just a little bit. That addiction goes from maybe 100 times to maybe 90 over a course of a month. But if you continue to do it day after day, it helps fight this weakness, because now when you see something, you're going to have that urge, that that pulse to just start going at it. You know, it just stops. It just stops this like little. It creates this like little wall between the addiction and you. When you meditate every day, it strengthens this wall just a little bit. You know, maybe it adds like a millimeter, and over time, it makes it so that you're gonna have to use a ton of force to break through and go to this addiction. It's still possible to be addicted, but it's gonna be 100% a lot easier to fight these addictions. Let's go for tip number 6, and that is improve your sleep. Okay, this is one of the most important things when you're trying to be productive for the whole day. You're trying to get work done, but then you feel tired, and then you become distracted a lot more easier. You get hungry, tired, sleepy, and you're like, oh, I don't really kind of want to do this kind of stuff. Yeah, it happened to me, and this stuff, meditation, is where it's at. All right. Let me tell you what happened with meditation. When I started before meditating, I was sleeping 9 to 10 hours. I felt pretty good, but I also didn't feel, it's just like I felt like I wasted like most of my day, just 9 to 10 hours, and I wasn't like brimming with energy. I was just like, yes, I don't feel sleepy, but I don't feel like that good, that kind of feeling. And then when I started meditating, it's just not like a huge change, but now I only need like 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And guess what you could do with 2 more hours of life? Let's say you're not going to be productive with that 2 hours, okay? That's 2 more hours of Netflix, 2 more hours of TV. I use it to be more productive, but 2 more hours of extra life where you still feel as good or even better, and then you could use that time for whatever you want to do. Hobby, TV, be more productive, hustle more, whatever you want, all right? This is the stuff where I found that not only does it improve the quality of my sleep, but it also reduces the amount of time I need to sleep. 7th tip is from time to time, but when you stub your toe and it freaking hurts, this is where meditation comes in handy. What it does is it helps control the pain so that you don't just start going crazy. When you stub your toe or something, you slam your finger on a door or something and it hurts so much and you just want to scream and you just want to let this pain stop, but it won't stop, and you just keep focusing on it and it keeps getting worse. Well, what meditation does is when you get that pain, you just like slammed your finger on the door, it's not gonna like reduce the pain, but it's gonna be like, okay, so this is exactly what I'm feeling compared to, it hurts kind of feeling, all right? It just makes it so that you understand the position you're in and you don't amplify the pain, all right? It just makes you aware of the actual pain compared to the perceived pain that you think you got, all right? And that's how it helps control the pain from my experience. Final tip is it helps control anxiety. From time to time, when you're working on your own at your house for a long time, you're gonna start battling self-doubt. You're gonna have all these sorts of excuses. Is it actually working? Should I try something else? And you're gonna get anxious a little bit because you can't predict the future, all right? It's just the future there, and you don't know if what you're doing is right, and you start getting anxious, or maybe there's some sort of problem that you have to solve, but you can't really do it right now. And you just start becoming anxious and becoming stressed out, and things become worse because you can't think in a clear head. Well, that's where meditation comes in handy, guys, all right? This is where it helps you put into perspective, what's actually happening and what's going on in your head, okay? Like if you can just separate and just take all this anxiety and worriness, all right? It's not gonna help the problem, but it's gonna help you have a clearer mind to help you solve that problem. It's a lot easier, guys, to just separate this stuff and then focus on the problem and solve it with a clear head compared to being completely stressed out. And I know you can agree with this because it's probably happened to you when you're trying to solve something and you're just stressed out and you can't solve it, all right? And those are the 8 scientific benefits I found from using meditation, all right? I highly recommend 10 out of 10 to try meditation. Put it in your morning routine, try it in the afternoon, put it in the evening. See what works best for you and incorporate it in your life. I promise you that it will do you good.